You're such an asshole.
So before I forget, this was brought to you in part by the Way of Monkey book. I want to make sure I recommended that because this would be exactly the book you need to read. And for those of you out there that are facing situations, it's, and I am not criticizing the client at all, nor anyone who finds himself in a situation of pain or trauma or anything like that. But a lot of times the solution, you're looking to end the pain quickly, which I get. But sometimes the pain will not end quickly, and you have to accept that fact. And so stoicism is one of the, if not the best solution, or more, I would say, treatment, because you're not going to solve this problem. And so I want to make sure I got that listed there. Hi, Cappy. You may remember me from your trucker video regarding why truckers are superior to college graduates. And since the video took an IQ test and is scored as above average, so I've been a frequent listener to your channel and live stream. I have a very difficult question and request I'm hoping you have an answer to. So recently, while on the road, I came across an accident involving multiple vehicles and pretty terrible injuries and one death, and provided what assistance I could to the injured occupants. Since it was very late at night and no one was around other than those involved at the time, it took a while for EMS, who I've called earlier, to arrive. So how does one move on from such an event in your experience and deal with difficult situations in your life? And if there is any advice to give, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks, and advice will keep you anonymous. So, as I alluded to before, sometimes the solution is you're just going to suffer, and there really is no other way around it. Whether you grieving, the loss of someone, you get divorced, you lose your job, you yourself might be in a horrific injury. There's no other solution than to let time take its toll and heal all wounds. But all you do really in trying to solve an unsolvable problem is tax an already taxed mental system and state that you're right now. Now, I'm not saying you become inhuman and become a robot and just ignore it. Many times I said before, if you weren't bothered by such a thing, then there'd be something wrong with you. The classic example: my parents are divorced. My mom spends all of our money, lives on welfare. We're poor. I'm hungry. I can't find a job. My brother committed crimes. I'm fat. I do pot, and I can't get girls. I'm depressed. How do you solve it? Like, no, you should be depressed. And I don't mean to. Oh, it happened to me too. But I also saw an accident that involved a death. You can actually look it up, but a police van kicked into gear and smashed a bunch of people during a holiday parade. And I was there. I saw it. I just all of a sudden the van. I'm like, oh shit. Got out of the car. There's a body. You could just, they're dead. We had to get a van off one of the people underneath. A bunch of citizens came in and helped. And I didn't see, thank God I didn't see any gore necessarily. I think that's probably what really messed things up. Plus, you were there for a while. I don't know. You just get over it. It's, I have, there was no, I didn't talk to a therapist or anything, but then again, working security, we, we saw weird stuff, sometimes bad stuff, but more weird. We also, we saw, there's like how to maintain an evidence um, crime scene, how not to pollute or corrupt evidence. They showed us a bunch of what was it? The medical students had to. We saw some gory, horrific stuff like how people died and things to look out for. I wonder why the hell did they show us that video? It was voluntary. So I don't know, but I do know if it's any kind of traumatizing event, and that's what it was, certainly for you. It's just time. And can you meditate? Sure. I recommend the Way of Monkey book, but there is no solution that makes that horrific thing go away. That happened. You weren't delusional, and you should feel a bit like traumatized. And gosh, it should be messing with your head. I'd really be concerned if it didn't. And again, I'm not a big fan of therapy. I really, the more and more I find out, I'm like, you guys are a bunch of frauds. But I do think you need to talk to someone, and a licensed therapist would not be the worst thing. Again, I prefer the grizzled Vietnam veteran, not Bipsy, the 24-year-old ditz from the suburb who doesn't know anything and has never had any struggling in her life. There may even be groups. Well, let's look that up. I don't know. Groups, survivors of trauma. There might be some groups. Trauma focused support groups. Okay. So there you are. I mean, it just popped up Las Vegas. By the way, I'm in Las Vegas now. Yeah. Support groups for trauma survivors, peer groups, safe support groups. So yeah, on PTSD, I'm not saying you got PTSD, but that might be something to go to one of those groups. Just share your experience. Talk with those people, and then those people would have the resources locally for you to follow up on, as opposed to you just going online and getting some rando on the internet. But yeah, I think you should go talk to someone about it. Maybe talk to a professional, vetted through a support group that deals in that field. Not, hey, what is it? BetterHelp? It's a brilliant business. Oh God, I wish I figured that out. Oh, you're a bunch of starving psychology majors with student debts. Okay, I'm gonna bill you guys out at $150 an hour, and I'll pay you 40. But aside from kind of treating it, we're talking to a therapist, going to a support group. I'm not saying you're gonna go forever, but just to chat and to kind of get over it. Um, Beyond that, you will just suffer. And a lot of what really helps out is to realize sometimes the solution is you're going to suffer. I would have a couple of instances in my life had I just realized, nope, the solution, the answer is suffering. And there's nothing you can do to end the suffering. Like, and again, I'm not accusing you of this hypocritical request I get all the time. How do I get the girls? What they're really asking is, how, with no effort and pain whatsoever, do I get girls? How do I make money quickly and quickly and easily without any hard work? And the answer is you don't. You have to do the hard work. And the same thing here. How do I get it so the pain goes away? It is through suffering. And it's not going to magnify the problem multifold, but it will worsen the problem or make it a little bit more difficult where you're trying to rack your brain. Like I can imagine these guys, the wife sends them papers and they don't want to get divorced. It's one where the guy wants to stay married and the girl doesn't. And the guy will try everything in his head to try and like convince her to stay. No, no. That adds pain to what is an inevitable outcome. You're still going to suffer the same amount. Now you're just adding stress and worry to it. So it is fine to suffer. A lot of the problems that are solved are through suffering, hard work, school, trauma, pain, death, injury, psychological pain, whatever, heartbreak, financial loss, love loss, familial loss, the loss of a friend, all of it's suffering. And so trying to, and I believe, it's just my theory, you will have a fixed amount of suffering you have to go through no matter what. And trying to lessen that amount of suffering is only going to add frustration to what is already a painful situation. And that's it. That's all I got. So I got linked below The Way of Monkey book. I strongly recommend you read that. I also recommend you look for a local survivor or trauma group. Sit on a couple of sessions there. See what they recommend. There's usually a leader in one of these groups who will say, "Oh yeah, we have resources. We know Jessica, and she's this is her field. This is her cup of tea. She knows her stuff." And that way you get a specialist in that field, hopefully not a joke, hopefully not some academic theoretician from the Hamptons. And that's the quickest way. But yeah, man, you're normal. You should be a little shaken up. Um, there's nothing wrong. You're human. That's good. And it's just going to take some time. That's the deal. All right, no super chats, and we'll see you. Oh, well, my goodness. Special guest celebrities, Shannon Rice. Shannon, email me for God's sake, will you please? assholeconsulting.com. Fill out the form. I'll see you guys later. Toodles.